Oh, durka durka durka.
All right, welcome, my friends, to another shitty review of a knife you've never heard of. And this one is called the Defcon Knives Fulcrum Lite. And you are probably watching this video because you're interested in this mechanism. So let me get right to the point with that. This thing is, I like this mechanism. I don't really like this knife, but I do like this mechanism. So it's called a leverage lock. And it functions like a liner lock in the sense that there's this little tab sticking out there keeping the knife from closing. But when you push it, it pushes instead of your finger going in there and moving it over, it's this button that pushes that piece over and allows this to move. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, but you're probably watching this video because of that. And if you only care about this mechanism, this leverage lock, then you might be happy with this knife. If you care about anything else, I guess keep listening to me ramble about why this isn't actually a particularly great knife, in my opinion. Okay, fine. So let's see. Specs, 14C28N, that's great. A little bit over a 3-inch blade. Let's see the old measurement because, you know, the curvature and everything. Yeah, okay, looks good. It is a back flipper, but also a top flipper, which I'm really shitty at that. Come on, bro. I think this front flipper is tricky. It's really small. If you're good at going over the top, I guess that was wasn't that a movie with Sylvester Stallone, and he was like the trucker who, you know, he was like pumping iron in the truck in his arm wrestling movie, and then he had to like help his son or some bullshit. So, really simple blade shape. It's got a not a super interesting grind to me. It's all satin finish, so there's not a lot of contrast there. There could be if they had done a little bit more with this, but there's the blade. Now this material, this is kind of confusing. This is micarta with an orange, I assume aluminum backspacer here. This knife is 46 bucks after discount. If you buy stuff from AtlanticKnife.com, which has a lot of good deals, by the way. I probably bought the most from White Mountain Knives, then Amazon, then Atlantic Knife. There's a discount code that doesn't seem to be, I don't know, super well known. Price drop 5 for 5%. So 5% off this, you're talking about a $46 knife. If it's interesting here is they don't even say what the handle material is, and I think that's maybe because they were confused, because and everywhere else it seems like it's G10, but this is just not G10. So I think you can look at that and see it's pretty smooth micarta. It has a little bit of milling texturing here, which I think this is for visual effect because it doesn't feel that great. It's a pretty light knife. So they said it was 3.06 ounces. How about we weigh it on this thing that you can't ever fucking see on the video? And you just trust me. Oh, that says 2.96 ounces. Why is it less? Well, because there's a real bad thing about this, which is the clip. So now that we've gone over the basics, let me talk about the good stuff and the bad stuff. We'll start with the good stuff. Okay, back to it. What's good about this knife? Well, this leverage lock thing is cool. I'm not really a button lock guy. Okay, and the reason for that is a lot of button locks have very weak detent. Like, it just feels like it's falling into your hand. I don't love that. I want to feel like I can control the rate at which this blade falls toward my skin. And the button lock makes that difficult. This is that same button part, but with the liner lock mechanics. So in every other respect, like if you want to do it slowly, you can push push the button in kind of slowly and let it stop. You have just more fine grain control. Also, you know, buttons on a button lock are usually about here, because you got to deal with the pivot here, and then they put the button here. Which, if you're flicking it, I mean, sure, it's not that big of a deal. You can hold it, but this is kind of the best actual place you would want to hold a knife if you're trying to mess with it and drop it and stuff like this. It's right on the edge here. So the fact that you can hold it, squeeze it, and control it is pretty cool for fidgeting. I mean, I just did that on purpose to stop it. So you just feel like you've got a lot of control with this thing. And so I think that this, which I believe was licensed, by the way, I should have researched this, but maybe you are a better student of the knife game than I am, and you can go research who this company, which OEM they licensed this from. And maybe I'll figure it out and put it in the comments. But this leverage lock thing, Defcon Knives, kind of a weird company. There's not much on them online. I saw like a Blade Show video that mentioned them. It looked like maybe a very small company out of California. I think it was like Chino, and they must get small OEM runs or something. I don't know. It's kind of odd. The whole thing is a little bit weird. But this thing is cool. The packaging is also pretty good on the good side of things. So they gave it this nice big box, a velvety thing here. Here's our friend the clip. We're going to talk more about him in a little bit. How about, so I don't forget that, we'll leave that little clip right there. And get a cloth. So all in all, pretty good presentation, better than most. That's a good thing. Just say the packaging. I mean, packaging, who really cares? But let's give credit where credit's due. Packaging's good. Now, so the good stuff. That's pretty good stuff. The button, I like. Okay, let's talk about the bad stuff now. All right, back to the bad stuff. That's why I'm recording this video, by the way. I don't record that many knife videos. I usually record videos about knives I like. I just think that this knife could be greatly improved. And so the clip. The clip is here, and I had to take the clip off. And I had to take it off because I do not know if you will be able to see, but on the edge of the knife, there's a little portion of this micarta that's kind of chipped and coming up. I was just wearing this. The first time I wore it out, wearing it like a normal person in my normal pants. I didn't catch it on anything like that. I looked down and it was twisted like this, because there's no way that the single screw is going to hold this clip in place. And it had just twisted automatically and messed up the scales right here. Now maybe this doesn't happen with G10. I don't know. There are other knives here. Here's one that's in carbon fiber, and maybe it is stronger. But all I can say is that this should have never been made this way. There's just no way that somebody who manufactured this ever put it in their pocket and ever used it for any amount of time, this being made in micarta, because this would have happened to you right away through normal usage. So to me, it's basically an unpardonable design flaw. Like, come on, you can't put that knife out like that. Another thing I'll say, this knife is extremely flimsy, and I don't mind a little bit of flex, but I don't know if you can see, I'm not even pushing that hard, and man, I just feel like I'm going to snap it. So the ergos aren't that great. This milling, this doesn't really help. It feels a little bit small in the hand, but the worst part, the shape and all that is fine, but the worst part is this, it just feels flimsy. Like, who wants to hold a knife that you can bend without even trying that hard? Just with your fingers. I mean, I barely have to. So that, there's just, even for a small knife, a small light knife, this one's just, 3 ounces. I still want something that feels feels secure. So, you know, the look of it, I think, is not good or bad. I think if we talk about average kind of middle of the road stuff, I think the look is fine. I think the backspacer looks good. The billboarding is pretty bad on this knife, and that's a pet peeve of mine. So I like you watching this, I bought or was going to buy this knife because of the lock and ignoring a lot of other things. But this jungle knife and Defcon, like, really not a fan of all that. Now, I will say, a lot of brands, here's Petrified Fish, they have their brand on the pivot, which I like. Maybe that is not such a great thing with the button here. I mean, it would be cool, actually. Like, I also imagine it wearing off. But that would be a lot cooler to me. I don't know. If they had this button was custom and take this stuff off the blade, that'd be a great change. A little bit of jimping is fine. You know, this is just a kind of a regular run-of-the-mill small knife. But the last bad thing, the front flipper, again, first of all, I don't have the clip on it right now because I had to take it off because it was going to tear this up even more. I would have more leverage. I'm not a big front flipper guy, but you got to have something to hold on to here. I don't have it. So, but even so, when I hold it, it's still a little bit hard. So I don't know. That's just not an easy thing for me to do. To come over the top. It's okay as a front flipper, regular front flipper with your thumb, but I feel like you gotta kind of really aim it. I also messed up my thumb being a dumbass, cut myself flicking, so my thumb flicking power is at about 30% of normal. But that's about it for this knife. If you like this button lock, and again, leverage lock, a liner lock via button is really what it is, then maybe this is worth buying. But definitely don't buy it in micarta, okay? Because of this design flaw. Buy it in something else. Maybe that'll work better for you. And also, you know, I suppose actually the whole thing most of this stuff could be attributable to the micarta. So maybe that's the problem. I bought this thing in micarta. Maybe if it were in G10 or carbon fiber, the clip would be strong enough, and then maybe if the clip is strong enough, I could front flip it, and then it wouldn't feel so flimsy if the handles are more rigid. Maybe this is a whole different ball game, in a different handle material, but as it is, this micarta version is a no-go. All right.